So I just put this up on, I want to go to the phones.
Yeah.
I just put this up on my Instagram feed if anybody wants to go check it out. This is my favorite Krukow thing. And he'll never remember it. Even if I showed him the picture of it, he would never remember it. But when I was probably circa, 11, 12 years old, go to a game at Candlestick Park. And we were invited by a friend of my parents who was like an executive schmuckety muck at Safeway.
Whoop.
Right? So we'll see you in the aisles. And we're at having a pregame meal up in some, I don't even know where I am. I was probably up in some suite or whatever. And the Giants come to the Safeway executive and they go, hey, we need someone from Safeway to throw out the first pitch of the game. And the guy, the Safeway exec is like he's not that much of a sports guy. He's like, I'm not going out there to throw a baseball. But my good friend Tom Willard here, I bet would.
Nice.
Hey, Tom, you want to go out there and throw out the first pitch, courtesy of Safeway Group, even though you don't work for Safeway, you work for Burlingame High School? My dad's like, are you kidding? I would love it. So next thing you know, we didn't arrive at the ballpark that day thinking that was going to happen. But next thing you know, I'm 11 years old. I'm in the stands, and my dad is out on the field. And back then, the first pitch, they let you, go up on the mound. And so he goes up there and puts the toe on the rubber, man. Bob Brenly behind the plate, and Tom Willard gets the ball, and he's about to throw out the first pitch, and they do the whole announcement. Now for the Safeway Group. Direct your attention to the mound. Tom Willard. And I'm like, I'm out of my mind in the stands.
Yep.
But then here goes my dad. My dad grabs the ball and then leans in to look at Brenly for the sign.
I mean, no pitch comm?
No pitch comm.
Okay.
And then he comes to the set. Make sure you come to a complete set.
Come on, Tom.
Wouldn't want someone to call a balk.
Right.
And then this is where he really got me. He comes to the set, and before he delivers, he checks the runner at first.
There was no runner.
Correct. There's not a game going on, but there is in my dad's mind. Then it's the high leg kick, and he throws right down the pipe, strike one. Bob Brenly grabs the ball, walks out, meet my dad halfway out to the mound, says, way to throw it in there, Tom. The reason I bring that up today is because the pitcher who had to sit there and wait for my goofball dad to go through all of this was none other than Mike Krukow. And I just put a picture on my Instagram, MT Willard, I think the station may share it as well, where my dad is in full action motion, getting ready to throw the ball. His name is on the scoreboard behind him. And Krukow is standing right behind him with his hand on his hip, very much with a look on his face like, today, Junior.
Let's go. Yeah,
we got a baseball game. Jose Uribe's in the background.
Oh, my God.
Getting ground balls, warming up for the first inning. But that was Krukow. He didn't tell my dad, hey, Tom, get off the mound. We got a
Get
baseball
off my
game.
mound, exactly.
Get off my mound.
Was that 86 or 87?
86, 87, I feel like.
Yep.
Could have been 88. I don't know. One of those.
That's so good.
But such a good dude. And that poster had been in my dad's office the rest of my childhood after that. It's still up in his home today. He's 83 years old.
As it should be. I mean, that's an amazing moment to be able to throw out a first pitch at any ballpark. I mean, I've been lucky to do 3 of them, but never one at Candlestick. But to have those moments, and I still have the framed one that I threw out at, it must have been SBC Park back in 2000 and maybe 9 or 10, back when they were pretty desperate to have people show up and do it before they got good.
Let's go to the phones. 888-957-9570 is the number. Let's go to Skills in Vallejo. Skills, what's going on, man? Thanks for the call.
Namaste, konnichiwa, and what's up, Dillard and Libs.
What's up, kid?
The news of Krukow, Mike Krukow retired. I mean, yeah, it's sad news, but the lesson I always try to teach my daughter is to not be sad that something's ending, but to try to be grateful that you had it for as long as you did. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to be just grateful that he was here for, 35, 36 years, however many years it was. And, I mean, I just feel like that now maybe, I don't know what this deal is going to be with the other station going forward, but maybe now you guys can have him on once in a while. Talk ball. Who knows? I guess we just have to wait and see with that. But I got to baseball. during that short period between when Krukow finished up as a player and right before he started broadcasting full time. So that's practically my whole Giants fandom, that he's been right there, and he was partnered with Krukow and Kuiper for most of that. It's that one year Kuiper off to Colorado when it looked like the Giants were moving. We're not going to talk about that. But see, what it is I think about, because I'm somebody whose life has been defined by upheaval. I've gone through in my life so many residences, so many jobs, so many different friends, medications. I mean, the Krukow and Kuiper tandem is one of the few constants I've had throughout my life. And now, I know they've had health problems in recent years. They're in their mid-70s, and I knew they were getting closer and closer to the end of their time with the Giants, Krukow, Kuiper, and Miller, and that they dialed back their workloads a little bit, which allowed us fans to kind of get other voices in the booth. And that's going to make it a little bit easier to transition, but still not easy. I've said this many, many, many times before, that whenever those three are all retired, hopefully Flynn will still be around with the Giants to kind of lead that next generation of Giants voices. So I guess we'll see what happens with Flynn. I hope he sticks around for a long time, as long as they did. And let me just close with the funniest thing I ever heard Krukow said, and I'll close with this. And he didn't even really say this. What happened was my then girlfriend in the early 2000s, she would watch the Giants games with me, and she would try to catch on to things that Krukow would say or different things people would say. And he has that catchphrase, grab some pine meat. So there's one game, somebody strikes out on the other team, and my then girlfriend says, go out and grab that meat. And I was just like, okay, close enough.
That's awesome. I mean, that's close, but no cigar. And thank you for the phone call. Like, the whole thing about, grab some pine meat and, good morning, good afternoon, and sit your butt down.
Yeah,
there's so many Kruk-isms. And we did a thing that was playful. I don't know if he took it as such back when I was on with the Rise guys, but we did a thing about Krukade where, everything would be seen in a positive light if you had a sip of the Krukade. And, they could lose 7 in a row and you'd take a sip and you'd be like, I got to tell you, I think they look good. I mean, the bullpen looked good even though they lost 9-1. I got to tell you, exactly. A lot of out-of-babes and all the rest of it.
You want to hear a few?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. We got a fan taking a huge bite of a hot dog.
See, look at this guy. He's got a hot dog. He's the happiest guy in the world. Need a napkin? Dude, what, you think I'm messy? Yeah. Plus, he's the only one without a date. So you're going to miss.
Well, that means one thing. He's got onions on his hot dog.
Savor it. You only got either one large bite left or, oh, yes.
Oh, man.
Good job.
Seriously, he had to milk that a little bit.
It was like 2 small bites or just one big one.
And he went for it.
So good.
I could do this. I could do this all day. I think for a lot of people, it's one of the first things that comes to mind, which is also, in a way, kind of another compliment. You know how I love stand-up comedy. And there's sort of two styles of stand-up comedy. There's the very produced kind, which is I'm going to come in and I've got material and I've got a bit. And then there's other people who do what's called crowd work, which is they'll come in and maybe they've got a couple of lines here or there or some stuff they want to do, but then they just start talking to the crowd. And off the top, they're going to be able to turn those conversations into laughs and laughter and making fun of and twisting people's words and all of the things that they do. Krukow and Kuiper were the ultimate they brought the baseball game, but then they also did a lot of crowd work. I don't know about you, it's one of the first things that comes to mind, which is the two of them sort of narrating the stuff that's when the cameras catch somebody in the crowd. And it can be a mom and a dad dealing with a kid or somebody going after a huge bite or somebody who's wearing something funny or whatever it is. And they were brilliant with that stuff.
Right. And this was obviously before nowadays where anything that happens in the crowd, it gets immediately put on social media and then everybody else weighs in. But part of it, too, is the fact that Krukow and Kuiper's brother, Jeff Kuiper, has been the producer of the broadcast for so long that it's not only Krukow and Kuiper, it's Krukow and Kuiper and Kuiper, and now there's another Kuiper in there as well. But the fact that Dwayne's brother Jeff was the producer had them all kind of in lockstep on what to do. And all this before the pitch clock era, where now you can't really do as much of what they used to do because the game is so much faster now, where you used to be able to go to the crowd and, sit on a person for 15, 20 seconds. You might have the pitcher, behind the mound, getting the rosin bag, or you might have the batter out of the box trying to, pick and adjust. And remember Nomar with like the one wrist and the other wrist and then the glove and the bat, the helmet, the bat and the helmet. And now you don't have that same amount of time. And so the broadcasts have changed because of the pace and the tempo of the game.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I did remember that little digital golf show thing that I did?
Yeah.
Did you know that Nomar was one of the guys that we did it with? I never knew. Nomar was one of the guys.
And this was like celebrities and golf carts, right?
Celebrities and golf carts,
Look at me.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I didn't think that I'd get it right, but that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it was a takeoff on comedians in cars getting coffee. We did 6 episodes, and Nomar was one of the celebrities, and we had him on the tee playing golf doing the Nomar? Doing the glove thing that he used to do at the plate, which was, I mean, he sort of explained it. He's like, it was just it was like a tick. Like I don't even know to what level he knew that he was doing it, but he had to do it before every pitch. It was a lot.
And I get that because that is kind of my whole day. And I don't even know if you've picked up on it, and I probably shouldn't point it out because I have this similar kind of tics. Like if I do that, I'll do this. For those of you in the YouTube audience, it's like
I see them.
It's a right eye scratch and it's a left eye scratch. And it's like I don't have to do it, but I kind of have to do it.
I think we all have those things. We've all got those things a little bit.
A little bit, but I mean, I see, like, when I see the Nomar and I see other people, like, you can't step on the chalk line and all the rest of it. There are many, many things.
Have you ever watched our station on YouTube and noticed that you're looking at Guru, but Steiny's stomach?
No.
Because he has to stand up.
Gotcha.
That's one of his, like, he gets uncomfortable and then he's got to stand up.
Willard's bugging me.
Well, I mean, you're not the only one.
And then the camera doesn't go up to his face?
Right.
It's like all in his torso?
Sometimes it does, but these things are like AI cameras. They're supposed to follow you.
Sure.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. How about this one?
He hits a high drive, and it's deep in the left, and it is off the wall.
The Giants are saying it went over the wall.
And the umpires now are maybe going to get together. They are. Yep, it's gone. They're showing it on the board here. Home run. It is gone.
Out of here.
And what would Dave's call be?
Gone.
And what would John's be?
Adios, pelota.
There you go. There's Kruk doing all 3 home run calls.
It's so great. And, I mean, those guys now with Flem is what, 20 years in? Is that too many years?
Which is odd because he's 28 years old, but yes.
Right. I mean, is it 20? If it's not 20, whatever it is, those 4 have been together for that long. And, Dave used to be the fresh-faced guy that they all kind of ragged, and they gave it to him, and he took it, and then he got to a spot where...
He was the baby, and he just had his 50th birthday.
He still is the baby.
Yep.
But, I mean, when he was the baby, they gave him all kinds of grief, and then eventually he kind of, earned, quote-unquote, his way through. But the fact that Kruk and Kuiper are both ball players, they kind of gave him the little bit of the hazing treatment.
That's how it works.
Right.
I love that you just brought that up. It brings to mind another. You know how earlier I was talking about the pinch me stuff that happens?
Yep.
Because, again, what year did they start? What year did Kruk and Kuiper start as actual broadcast team for the Giants? Because they were obviously playing through the late 80s, right? I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I don't know exactly when they played till, but when did they start doing broadcast? Was it not until the 90s?
Full duo, I'm sorry, 94? Is that what you're seeing?
I'm saying they first started appearing together in 1990, but full-time in 1994.
Okay, so 1990 is when they first start, cracking the mics. I'm only 15 years old. To me, like, I know people hate when you say this because, I grew up listening to you, and it makes it feel so old. But so I wasn't like a baby, but like I wasn't even driving yet when these two started cracking mics. And been listening to them forever. And I think there have been a lot of those moments like what you just talked about. And then this was kind of another pinch me moment for me because my first year back in the Bay when I get to come home is 2019. And over at Oracle Park, they had that bunker studio where you could do broadcasts if obviously you were working at KMBR, and nobody is using that studio anymore. But the point is my job was to come on after the games at night. And I was like, I'm going to use that studio all the time. Like, what are you, crazy?
Yep.
Like, I'm going to be there every single night. So I'd go to the game, and then you go downstairs. And point is I was at the ballpark every night. And after about, I don't know how many months into the season it was, but there is a dining hall on is it the fourth floor, I think, of the press box. There's an area where there's the pregame media dining. There is one table that is Krukow and Kuiper's. That's their table. You don't go sit there. You just don't sit there no matter what. And they often are doing in that dining room before games the same thing that you just talked about that they would do to Dave Fleming for years on the broadcast. It kind of becomes a little bit of a mini roast sometimes because it's the same group of people up there and they just start cracking jokes and making fun of people, and it's not on the air and it's not for show. It's just because that's who these two best friends are. And there was a number of months into the season when the target for the first time was me. And it was brief. It wasn't a big deal. I'm sure that they would never even know that they were doing it in that moment. But to me, that was absolutely unequivocally, like people always ask athletes, like, what's your welcome to the pros moment? That was my kind of welcome to the Bay Area media moment. When I'm just sitting there having a pregame meal and Krukow and Kuiper sitting there kind of taking shots at me and making fun of stuff that I said after the game the night before or whatever, I'm like, y'all could just make fun of me for the rest of the night if you want. This is the best thing I've ever heard.
You've never eaten more slowly in your life. You're like taking slow bites and just, trying to savor it because that is like a rite of passage, and it's honestly kind of like a stamp of approval. And I got the same thing from both of them in individual ways when I was doing the show with Gary Radnich, because they would call in or they'd pop on and, Gary would be doing his usual routine about Zito and his contract or Bonds and the home run chase or whatever. And they would come in and, try to get me to chime in more against Gary or, trying to like prop me up. And then I'd see him in person and they'd tear me down. And that was the whole kind of the rhythm of the thing. And the more that they gave you a hard time, the more they liked you. Was the thing. I mean, I think that's normal, especially for, I don't want to make this about gender, but that's normal for guys. Right, but when you have people of that stature who at that point they're 20 years in, and by the time you got here is 25 years in, it's like they don't need to like anoint anyone or make anyone feel comfortable, but it's their natural comfort zone. Yeah, I mean, that's like, how Guru's always talking about every time anybody has a hot conversation here at the station, his phone will blow up with people being like, are they okay? Like, are Willard and Dibbs okay? Are you and Steiny okay? It's like, this is how we talk to each other. This is what dudes do. And if I'm not talking to you that way, then it probably means I don't care enough. And that's another one of the things that they kind of captured. So Bob Costas is going to be on the air with us in 10 minutes. There is no other or better baseball historian out there. And so the specifics of stories and memories with Krukow and Kuiper, but also sort of the larger sort of vibe and state of the game and broadcasting and what's captured by Krukow and Kuiper. We'll get into all of that with him coming up here in just 10 minutes. And I wonder what he would think about the notion of this kind of being a dying breed of broadcasters, not only because of the pace of game, but now we have so many of these games that are not all shown locally. You've got, the different Amazon, you've got games on Peacock, you got games here, you have games there, and it doesn't seem like the audience is as tied to it as it was when, Krukow and Kuiper got started in the mid to late 90s, where like, oh my God, I get to see every game of my team. Because you remember being a kid where not all the games were on TV. You'd get some games on Channel 2, the local broadcast. Maybe you'd catch a national game, but you didn't get every game on a dedicated channel with your dedicated duo. Where's your brain go when I say most iconic sports duo Bay Area history? Where's your brain go? Like any sports duo. You can do whatever you want with it. I just want to know where your brain goes when I say that. I think about the Splash Brothers. Okay. And, Draymond is certainly a part of it, but he was not one of the Splash Brothers. So I think about Steph and Clay. I think about Joe and Jerry. I think about Joe and Dwight, but also Steve and Jerry. And I'm not going to pick between all of them. And football's different because you can't do any of this without talking about Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig and, so many other greats. And so football's a little bit different about duos than, basketball is only about duos because of the Splash Brothers.
Right, but I mean, Steph and Clay aren't winning a ring without some of those, you know what I mean? Draymond and
Right, but they are a duo. Like, if you think about Run TMC, it's not T and M, it's not M and C, it's not T and C, it's the three of them. So as far as duos go, Kruk and Kuiper would have to be damn near the top. And even like the Giants' run of the players, it was, Mad Bum and Buster, Kane, Buster. It was, Vogie, it was Timmy and Buster. I mean, there's so many different people,
You can set up a bunch of different duos. One year, it was John Burkett and Bill Swift. Remember when they both, I think they both won 20 games.
Yep.
Burkett and Swift, or Kruk and Kuiper.
And
Which
Jason
one do you like?
Schmidt in there. I mean, there's so many, but just the pure duo of Kruk and Kuiper. And I think the thing that strikes me, not above all else, but one thing that really hits me is the fact that they're both former players, but if you didn't know that Dwayne Kuiper was a player, you would think that he's just, a kid who came up in Racine, Wisconsin and always wanted to be a broadcaster and tried like heck. And he rose the ranks and you know what? He's a good broadcaster. No, he's a pro baseball player who happened to become an elite play-by-play guy.
Right.
And that's what makes that duo to me so unique is that he is a play-by-play guy. He could have been an analyst like Kruk, but he was a play-by-play guy, and that allowed Kruk to be Kruk.
Yeah, I mean, they're very good ball players. Kruk was an excellent ball player. Kuiper was a very good ball player. That happens sometimes, and this is a terrible kind of example of the moment, but if people would kind of bear with it for a second, there is an attachment there. It's kind of like, I remember just telling, I think one of my kids last week, something came up on the Pat McAfee show, and I'm like, he used to be a punter. They're like, what? He played? I'm like, yeah, Pat McAfee played. They didn't pay him $60 million a year back then, like what he's doing now, but it's always fascinating to me when there are people who play, but then they become even more known and better in the media or broadcasting game than they were as players. That's absolutely true for Kruk and Kuiper, even though they were not punchers. They were very, very good.
Right. They were better than McAfee in their sport, certainly. Sure. And, better than Stephen A. Smith in his sport, reportedly, if you believe that he was a, D2 basketball player or whatnot. And so, I think about Kruk and Kuiper, and I also can't help but think about Greg Papa in this day where, Papa had bad news come to him professionally yesterday, and now you've got Mike Krukow, who's going to step away, and Greg Papa spent, I think, 3 years with them doing Giants broadcasts, and so when you look at the list of people who actually worked with them during their time together, Greg Papa is one of them, and so that kind of hit me today, like, first it was Papa and his news, and then
a big week.
And now Mike Krukow is going to step away, and you just think about like those careers separate, but also together because Papa's an institution, and so is Mike Krukow.
And want to keep reminding everybody, if you're just coming in and out on the show, that Mike Krukow will retire effectively end of the year. So this is not immediate. There's nothing imminent going on here. You're going to have the rest of the month of August. You're going to have the rest of the month of September. And I'd have no problem saying this directly to him in a moment where it has been, for my money, the most frustrating and disappointing Giants season that I can remember in recent memory and maybe even not so recent memory. But this announcement has just made me want to watch all of the games for the rest of the season. All of them. That was not really on my to-do list. The game is always on, but it kind of had reached a spot where it's like, if I got nothing else going on. But the Giants are struggling, and now I'm like, I'm curious. Let's check out this Basabe guy or whatever.
Right,
that was kind of the vibe, but not now. Now I'm back. I want to get every single inning that we've got left.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be it. And you've got 50 games left to go, and I don't even know if he'll do all 50 of them because his schedule's been a little bit, piecemeal throughout the course of the last few years. You mentioned health and, travel restrictions and all the rest of it, but you might not get that many opportunities to hear Kruk and Kuiper, and certainly when they get to that last game they do together, that one's going to be the opposite of a laugher. That one's going to be emotional.
That one's going to be.
There will be tears from like everybody.